today on episode 4 of series 6 on our YouTube channel of Agility for All. We'll be discussing Open Space Ghana that happened weeks ago, and I'm so happy to have Kofi Blankson with me, who is my colleague consultant, to tell us all about what happened. I actually missed it, so I think it's really important that he has given us the chance to share this with us, right? And you probably also missed the chance to be there in person. So this is an opportunity for those of us who are not there to get an insight on what happened and the key takeaways and how we can also benefit even though we're not there. So the word open space, I mean, what's the meaning of open space?
Thanks, Elvin. Thanks a lot. So you really missed, I must say, you really missed. But to answer your question, so when we say open space, we say that it's a way of bringing people together to try and carve a path of progress for themselves, right? And when we say this path, we are largely talking about topics that these people choose. You understand? Nobody essentially chooses the topic for them. It's also an informal way, of trying to bring people together. We call them self-organizing too, because in an agile sense, nobody really tells you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, right? And in that same spirit, an open space conversation rides on the spirit and ethos of Agile. You understand? People see that change is upon us, and so we need to respond to it quickly. I think that another very important point that we need to talk about is open space conversations, or open space in itself, is built on five principles and one law. You get it. And so when we talk about these principles, we say that first principle is whoever is there is the right person. So don't worry that you didn't show up, or those who were there were the right guys who were there. We also say that whenever it happens, or wherever it happens is the right place where it happens. Again, whatever happens is the right thing that happens, whatever time it starts is the right time that it does start, okay? And then we say that whenever it's over, also, I think it's over. And then, yes, so essentially those are the key principles around, what this open space is about.
So basically, whatever happens in an open space is just the right
It's the right
start to the finish.
It's from the start
to
the
whatever
finish.
happens in the middle.
Whatever happens is the right. Wherever it happens again is the right place where it happens. We talk about whatever happens again is the right thing that happens, right? I think in terms of time also, we say that whenever it starts is the right time. I mean, all of this is around that psychological safety, that we don't put pressure on ourselves, or you don't pick people up for not showing up on time, or saying that you didn't do the right thing. No, that's not what it is about.
Sure.
It is about. I think another thing also about the open space Ghana that I'm share was, this is the first time that we are doing this in Ghana, and I recall that people were asking when we sent out the invitations, hey guys, why are you doing this? And I thought, okay, look, we are doing this for the first time in Ghana. Two things why we're doing this. First of all, we thought that it was a good platform to make Agile pervasive in Ghana, right? That's one. But also for once, can we be accountable for our own challenges? We want to be responsible for whatever happens, right? And I thought that this open space conversation was a way, to get into that mode. Yeah, Elvin.
More like taking responsibilities.
Exactly.
Exactly. Trying to fix things that we can fix. Sorry, I just wanted to mention the fix yourself, fix the country kind of hashtag that was flying around, but yes. We didn't build it on this, but also
no, certainly not. I mean, it's non-political. It has no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, we just think as people or as agilists, we can also take some responsibilities and help. So
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for the explanation. So how was the feeling like? How was the atmosphere? The people?
Wow.
I mean, the event itself. Like how was everything?
Wow. That's a very good question, right? I think leading to it, there was a lot of anxiety, right? But if you think about the law of open space, which talks about wherever you find yourself and you think you're not adding value, the law of mobility. If you're not adding value wherever you find yourself, you move to the next place, right? I think that was one of the mindsets that we built this on, and also the fact that whatever happens is whatever happens. I don't know, whoever is there is the right people, right? So I mean, I think it arrested that anxiety in the first place. But just to add, I think that my personal take on this was, I think it was an amazing event, right? And I'm sure we'll get into feedback, or maybe let me just talk about feedback if you don't mind. We got very positive feedback from some of our attendees who came out. And when we planned this, we try to bring people from all walks of life, you understand? Whether they be different industries, whether you are in government, you are in leadership, or you are in the clergy, you are a student, you are a business person, you are the ordinary guy, as it were, you know, on the streets. We try to bring all the sorts of people together, right? So that people do not say that, hey, look, this is a bunch of, you know, literates or educated folks who are just going there to decide our future. No.
Or just IT people.
IT people, yeah, because Agile goes beyond. You're absolutely right.
People just go Agile to IT.
IT, no. This was purely non-IT people. You get it? And I think some of the feedbacks that we got were from many of those guys who are not really IT people or not IT people at all, who were sharing powerful feedback on how they enjoyed the session and how it was informal. I was telling you earlier that at a point we were sitting under a tree, we were sitting under a cubicle, and it was very, very nice, right? I think that also by way of attendance, when we planned this, Elvin, we were looking at around 50 people, but we got 40 people show up, and these guys showed up on time. So this is not your typical African time, you understand? Because when we said we were starting, we started, you know, quite early, right? Because typical Agile is time boxed to a certain time, right? And I've talked about people coming from all walks of life, and I think that another thing also was, you know, we decided that, hey, look, we were going to look at certain challenge areas, right? So our challenge areas essentially was, first one was on governance and leadership. Then we said we were going to do business. Business is really important. The money in the pocket is really important. Then we said we're going to do arts and culture. Okay. Then we talked about media as well. You understand? And then the fifth one was on family life and the social fabric. You get it. And so once we put all these challenge areas on board, people came up and said, hey, look, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about that. You won't believe it. By the time we were done, when everyone was done speaking, we had 17 different topics that people wanted to address.
Wow.
Yes, I was just standing there, I was surprised. I'm like, wow. So you can imagine if you scale this up to a larger audience, right? Yeah. But the beauty of this also is you don't get to discuss all 17 topics. People also review the whole 17 topics or the topics that people show up with, and then they decide that, hey, look, we are going to vote for the top 3. Exactly. That is a priority for us, you understand? And so it was exactly the same thing that happened, you know, in the open space conversation. I think people wanted to talk about security. Some other group wanted to talk about, I think, sanitation it was, and then there was also another one on youth employment. It was fantastic. And then, so that was for the first session. Then we came into another session and people were talking about employee disloyalty. Some people were talking about health issues in agriculture and how we can scale that, you know, in the future for country. And again, the theme was on my ideal Ghana. So if you found yourself in Ghana, what's that ideal thing that you would want, you know, along these challenge areas that, you know, we set for ourselves, Elvin?
Wow. Yeah, I think I would have created a whole different Ghana for myself.
Oh yeah.
If I was there and I had the opportunity. Exactly. But I think hearing this from Kofi means that the right people are actually there for people to come up with 17 topics and to group them into areas they really want to see improvements. I mean, if this is done and we reach a larger audience like you mentioned, and the right people in there, I think we can use Agile to actually change the country.
Absolutely.
So, like I said earlier, Agile is not just tailored for IT projects or just Agile. You can use it in your personal life, and now we want to scale it to help the country to be ideal as we want it. So,
I'm talking about ideal, right? I think it's great for an ideal Ghana, no doubt, because you can think about, and you know, in Agility we talk about using this small experiments for something greater, right? So, if you take this typical event and imagine that you want to apply this to a certain region, and say, so this whole region we are getting together and we want to look at the top 3 areas that we want to solve for, right? And these are things that we as a people are deciding what would that mean for that region, you understand? Or what would that mean for another company? You know, what would that mean for your business? You understand?
Even your family.
Exactly, your family, because at the end of the day, you've got to sit together and prioritize that. Look, you're not saying that the other maybe 11 topics that we discussed were not priority areas, but we're just saying that we want to prioritize the 6 or the 3 for now, right? And then more importantly also, you notice that you can solve for some of these challenges within a certain period. So you're looking between 60 or 90 days, or even as much as low as 30 days. You understand? I say, oh, within the next 30 days, we want to crack this. You know, within the next 60 days, we want to crack this. Within the next 90 days, we want to crack this. And it's really simple to do, right? Like,
I think this brings my mind to the concept of the 15% solution.
Yes.
You don't find a chunk of the solution. Just the little that you can do.
Absolutely.
So, for example, I want to learn. What do you want to learn? This.
Yeah.
And then how do you start? By picking up the book.
Exactly.
That is your 15% solution.
Exactly.
Wow. I'm feeling sorry for myself for missing.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I'm still happy Kofi is sharing this with me. So, I mean, all of this is done. What were like the takeaways, or what did you say? Hey, this is what we've been able to achieve. What were the action items or the countermeasures or the takeaways? And then the next thing is like what to expect after the open space.
Wow. So I think key takeaways were around those 6 eventually, because we did 2 separate sessions where we talked about 3 topics in each one, right? So there was some very beautiful thoughts around youth employment, and coincidentally on that day when we were meeting, there was a youth employment fair happening, and we were told, I think there were news reports that said about 7,000 people have thronged to that youth employment, right? And so even the youth in that session thought that, hey, look, we need to tackle that as so they came up with some wonderful ideas. I may not put it out here, but of course, one of the things that we're planning to do, or we are doing, is to create like a backlog. You know our backlogs, right? And we are saying that these are the things that we are going to do, these are the things that we are doing, and these are the things that will be done by trying to collaborate with the people that matter to do that. I think beyond youth employment also, we talked about security. Somebody was very passionate about security and says, we do take our security for granted. Can we start conscientizing people to say, hey, look, can you look around you wherever you're going? Who's that guy standing at your gate or standing on your street that you are not familiar with, and try to call, the police and as quickly as possible, if I should use a word, to try and say, look, there's somebody or a stranger around here, right? I think another thing also was on agriculture. You understand? We say that a certain GDP of our country is hinged on agriculture, but how can we scale that, as quickly as possible? I think we also talked about some health systems and how we can better the health system, of our country. Again, these are solutions that are professed or brought forth by ordinary people who are citizens, right? And we think that those are things that we can do in future. So I mean, all of that is going. So we've created a platform where people actually said, hey, look, I'll be very happy, and they put their hands up to say, hey, look, I'll be happy to be part of the solution for this challenge areas that we are looking for. So I think go ahead.
I mean, about platform right now. So what if someone is listening wasn't at the open space? How do people get in? Maybe they also want to contribute, although listening to us right now. Also engage or to be a part of what we've started.
I think that maybe because we are on YouTube and socials are really powerful, right? You can like it, you can comment, or you can share for your colleagues, and even if there's any idea that you have, you can put it right at the bottom of this video to say, look, I have this great idea, right? Because interestingly for some of us also, on the day when we are having the Agile open space, in Ghana, we're live on Facebook, and so some people were following the conversations, and then I think later they did send out notes to say, look guys, can you add this, or I think that this is a great idea that you're talking about. So I think social is really powerful, and that's a means by which we are reaching out to our listeners who are join or tuning in today. I saw some very wonderful feedback, because at the end of the day, you know that whatever you do, you need to get feedback on how you can improve upon it. In Agile, we call it retrospectives, right? And people were really all over the moon. First of all, about the venue. I think the food was great, and the whole idea around not making it a formal conference where people come and somebody comes to present, but you are rather the one, feel free to talk, you understand? And again, it's all hinged on the 5 principles that we talked about. And there are people who felt like, hey, look, I'm talking about agriculture, but I really don't feel like I'm adding value here. Right? Can I move to health? Can I move to youth employment? Can I move to leadership? Can I move to sanitation? You know, all that. And so I think it was over and above. Great show. This was the first time, Elvin, it happened in Ghana. I think that every year we will target to do this on a yearly basis and see what happens for us in our ideal Ghana.
This is mind blowing and amazing. I mean, I didn't also really expect to get this insight from Moabin, but it really shows how far we can go if we take open space and agility serious for us. And so Kofi, thank you so much. And also we've come to the end of our time today. And as usual, we'd love for you to interact with us and follow us on the socials. And to keep up with us, and you can also just visit our website to find out a lot about what we are doing and how we can improve together. And same time next week, we'll be talking about the next topic, which will be on localizing agility for Ghana. And I bet you don't want to miss that. So we look forward to seeing you. And as usual, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, share the videos, and leave the comments in the comment section if you have any. And Kofi, thank you once again for.
Thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure to be you. So I'm sure we'll see you again.
Yes.
Take care. Bye, everyone.